Welcome to Home Built Workshop, guys. Welcome to Wednesday Live. And how are you guys doing? I hope this day finds you guys all doing great. We're here to hang out for a little while. You know the drill. Talk shop, talk life, talk projects, talk whatever we end up talking about. Hopefully you guys have some coffee or some sort of tasty beverage of choice and settle in. We'll hang out for a little while. Got some coffee here myself, and yeah. What are you guys doing today? What's going on in your world? It's a good day here today. I have the Great Guitar Build-Off build just about ready to go, and I'm super excited to show you guys. We'll get to that a little bit later once we kind of get settled in. Pretty much that is all I've been working on around here. Working on the Great Guitar Build-Off, Haley Guitars Dorian, and just been working on editing some videos, doing some fine-tuning, and getting the guitar finalized. I have the a demo session lined up for this weekend where we actually kind of get to open this thing up and really hear what it sounds like. I can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. A good friend of mine is going to be playing it, since this is a right-handed guitar and I'm a lefty. And yeah, you guys don't want to hear me try to fumble around on playing that thing. So really awesome guitar player, friend of mine, who I've been in a cover band with for quite a lot of years. He's gonna give this thing a rip, and another friend of mine is gonna help me do some filming and stuff like that. Gonna get this wrapped up. So be on the lookout for some videos coming up of getting this thing done. I'm really pushing this to get it done in the next several videos, and it's going to be out there for you guys to see here pretty soon. I'm working on scheduling the one for this weekend, and then we're going to do the sound demo, and then I got to put together the final submission for the 2021 Great Guitar Build-Off. Harry Dude's here! So what's up? Hope you're well. I am well, man. I hope you are well too. How's it going over there? Let's see. You're probably cooling off, huh? We're fixing to get warm. Someday it's going to get warm here. I don't know when. It seems like winter is, dragging on these cooler temperatures. I don't know. One day we'll get summer. But yeah, man, we're doing good here. Just working on this guitar, trying to get this thing finalized. I got to get it done in the next couple of weeks. The date is the end of June. You have to have everything submitted. I'm shooting for, several weeks before that, but right now, just trying to get that all done. Hey, dude, getting colder. Not happy. At least you don't get so cold there, really. What are you working on? What kind of projects you got on your bench there, Harry Dude? Hopefully you're keeping busy. Have you had any gigs since the couple weeks ago? Hopefully everything's going good. Hopefully you got lots of work. I got some other projects around here too that I'm itching to get on, and but right now the only thing that I'm trying to focus on is this Great Guitar Build-Off, just to get it done. Once I get it done, I can move on with some other stuff. I got to get back to that cherry guitar as well, and I got to not respray, but get back to spraying the finish on that thing, and get that thing wrapped up too. But soon we'll be on that. Hopefully next week. Right now it's Build-Off guitar. Harry Dude booked another gig, which is cool. Only 5 hours to travel to do it. Wow, that's quite a drive. I don't know, what's the longest I think I've ever traveled for a gig? 15 hours maybe? Something like that. we played. We did kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it, like a mini tour, sort of. A couple of them where we went from here in the Colorado Springs area. We went down to Phoenix and Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then we did like a Midwest kind of Oklahoma City, Missouri, um, Wyoming. Yeah. So 5 hours, I guess, isn't too bad. Serge says, "What do you do for a living? Building guitars? Not 100%. I do. Basically, I have the privilege of being able to make projects and videos and that sort of thing and share them with everybody here on YouTube. I also build the guitars. A lot of times those end up being part of the YouTube channel. Not always. Sometimes I build them. I build and sell guitars, and also doing the YouTube channel and all the products or projects on there. Yeah, so I kind of it's a pretty cool job." So building guitars is a piece of it, and a lot of, not a lot of, a whole mixture of things really. Mainly the YouTube stuff, and the guitars, some Amazon guitar parts and things like that. But sent back in. Good morning, Jeff and everyone. What's up, buddy? How's it going? Mike says, "Hey, I just made my first guitar body and turned out pretty good. Learned a lot from this experience and I want to try to build a neck. What dimensions are needed for a neck blank? Thank you." Right on, Mike. That's awesome. So you made your first body blank and now you want to build a neck. I guess the size of the blank and is going to be determined kind of by the style of neck you want to make. I mainly do, right now anyway, I'm doing bolt-on necks mostly, and kind of a Fender style neck. I hesitate to say that, but because I don't want to throw out names. But so to build a guitar like that, probably you're going to want a blank that's about 3/4 of an inch thick with a 1/4 inch fretboard. So overall thickness is 1 inch, and that's going to be pretty standard as far as thickness. Width wise, you're going to want to be probably maybe 3 inches at least for the neck. That's going to give you some room to trim it off. But in order to if you want to have a one-piece headstock, you don't want to have to glue on wings, I'd go for 3.5 to 4 inches. I would work out your template first, whether you buy a template from somebody or you design your own, and then you can go off of the width of your headstock, and then a little bit wider. You want to have room all the way around. But if you get into the a 4-inch wide piece, you're going to have plenty of material, I would imagine, unless you have some sort of extreme headstock. Don't quote me on that, honestly, now that I think about it. If you do kind of a Strat style headstock, I'm not sure what your overall width is going to be, on the headstock. But just go off of your template or your drawing or whatever you're going to use to make your template, and go a little bit wider than that. You're going to be just fine. I usually shoot for, I usually will get 4/4 material, like a maple or something like that. That gives me some room to plane it down to 3/4 of an inch with a 1/4 inch, if you're going to glue on a 1/4 inch fretboard, for an overall thickness of 1 inch, really. So you want 1 inch thick, 3.5, 4 inches wide, and you're going to be just fine. 3/4 of an inch thick if you're going to add a separate headstock or separate fretboard. Hopefully, I hope that helps. You can do it, man. It's awesome, and that's it. It sounds about like the way I started out building, where I just made a few bodies and bolted some necks on there, and I used that, as a kind of building blocks. I want to work out my process for the bodies, and use a pre-made neck, and then as you work into building the neck, you know, then by the time you get that worked out, you're building your whole guitar. So it's an awesome way to go, and you got this. You can do it. I hope that helps. Hit me up though if you got any other questions, Mike. Sent back in. Fun job. It is. Yes. XK Tree, good morning all. Haven't watched in a while. Glad to be back. I am glad you are here. How's it going? How are things going in your world? Serge says, did you try to build another stringed instrument like banjo or maybe a harp? I have not. Not a harp or a banjo. I wanted to build a banjo at one time. I very, very roughly play a banjo a little bit, just kind of for fun. And I wanted to build one, but that's not something I've gotten to yet. I have made quite a few cigar box guitars, 3-string and 4-string cigar box guitars, as well as some 1 and 2-string diddly bows, just out of some random, little tins and stuff like that. I think that is a great way to go for instruments like that, where you can, and Mike, this goes back to your comment as well. It's kind of I used the necks for cigar box guitar as kind of another stepping stone to building an actual guitar neck, because most of the time you don't need to put a truss rod in a neck for a cigar box guitar. So you can practice fretting and all of that stuff, but still not have to worry about getting into the truss rod. And that's exactly what I did. I made a few guitar bodies with bolt-on pre-made necks. Then I did a few cigar box guitars where I made the neck with a fretboard and got a lot of practice cutting fret slots and fretting and all that. And that took another piece of the building a guitar neck out of the equation for me. So then the only thing I really had to practice with was getting the headstock, not the headstock, but cutting the truss rod slot. And by then I've done everything else. So I just kind of worked my way up. Mr. Doughboy, Jeff, what's up, man? How's it going? Mike says, thank you so much for that, brother. Right on, dude. You got this. It's going to be awesome. And just practice. Maybe something to think about. Maybe just get some cheap pine or something like that you can practice making a neck out of, even if it's, you don't even complete it, but just to practice some of the steps. Laying out for the truss rod channel, cutting the truss rod channel. And don't let that scare you, because it's not that hard. If I can get this out of here. I use a really simple jig. Man, it's kind of stuck. I use a really simple jig to cut my truss rod slots. This is a piece of 1/2-inch plywood with some rails glued on. This is the width of my router base. And then you don't even have to worry about this slot. So what I did was I glued this on so that my router slides nice and smooth down here, a little wax in there, make it, keep everything slip sliding nice and easy. And then you just take your router bit and you slowly lower it. And you make a couple passes until it goes all the way through. And I don't have any fancy clamping stuff or anything on here. I did put a bevel on this piece up here just as a kind of a pocket so that sawdust can't really build up and stop the router from going all the way. And then just a really simple stop block on the back. I can adjust that to where I need the truss rod slot to stop. And really, I just double side tape this on. I line this up with my center line of my neck blank, and the end of the truss rod is going to be here, and then the end of the neck, I guess you could do it either way, but there's a stop here and then an adjustable stop here. I double stick tape this to my neck blank, and that's it. Just start making your passes. It's really simple. This is nothing fancy at all, but that's all I do, and it works great. You just take your time, make sure you line up your center lines and that sort of thing. But don't don't let that kind of stuff get you hung up, or don't feel intimidated by anything like that. It's really not that bad, and you just measure it out based off of your truss rod and piece of cake. But practice, though. I do recommend running a couple practice pieces. Max says, just found you yesterday. You deserve a lot more subs. Loving the vids. Well, thanks, Max. And welcome. And yeah, I appreciate that. Spread the word. Spread the word, everybody. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Wags is here. Hey now. Long time, my friend. Wags, where have you been? I hope you have been doing well. We're doing good around here. Things are going. Things are going pretty good. We got coffee. Ooh, it is tasty today. Taco Bell says, oh, a harp would be awesome. A harp would be cool. I have zero, absolutely no experience with a harp. I just know that it has a lot of strings, and I don't claim to be an expert on that because I'm not. But it would be quite the instrument. I have seen a few harps, and just the work that looks like it would go into something like that is just incredible. Wags says, things could be better, but overall okay. Well, Wags, I wish you the best, my friend. Right on. Do you guys want to see the build-off guitar? I'm going to watch right here. If you want to see the build-off guitar, hit that thumbs up. I want to see like a... If I see a whole bunch of thumbs up, we'll bust it out. I got it right. It's right next to me. XK Tree, work. You know how it goes. Keeps me out of trouble. Yeah. It does. It does do that. Wags, I've drank a few harps in my time. Good one. Taco Bell, guitars are good enough. LOL. You do great work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Wags is giving the thumbs up. The thumbs up. Where's the little thingies over here? Taco Bell. LOL, Wags. Right on. Wag says, let's see. All right. You ready? I can't play. I'm going to take this jacket off because I don't want to scratch it with a zipper. Hang on. Sam Packin says, I have a friend that lives in my neck of the woods who makes harps. Oh, that's so cool. Taco Bell, let's do it. Right on. Ow. All right, guys. Here's a sneak peek of the completed, well, mostly completed, Great Guitar Build-Off guitar. This is the Haley Guitars Dorian. I don't want to hit it on anything. That I'm building for this 2021 Great Guitar Build-Off. So shiny. What do you guys think? There it is. So shiny. Oh, the lights. So shiny. My daughter cracks me up because every time she sees it, she's like, it's so shiny. There it is. I saw some comments there. I'll get to the comments in a second. I'm trying to be really careful. I don't want to bang it on something here. Could be bad. I don't know how I can't do this so you guys can see. It's upside down and I'm a lefty, so. Can't do a whole lot more than strum a couple of chords. But the demo will happen this weekend. Like I said, a friend of mine is going to be giving this thing a rip. Um, so a few of the specs, we got a Schaller bridge, we got Seymour Duncan pickups. This is the Nazgul in Sentient set. Supposed to be a good high output set of humbuckers. 25.5-inch scale length. Body is mahogany with a quilted maple top. Book matched quilted maple. Let's see if I can get this angle. The book match is pretty darn good. You see right here? If I can get that. Don't bang it on stuff. There we go. You can kind of see the book match right here. Goes this way. Three-way switch, tone, volume. You know, pretty standard controls. But I really like this thing, and I really can't wait to hear it plugged into an amp, and somebody who can actually play it. Give this thing a rundown. It's going to be awesome. I have a couple tiny things left to do. I'm actually in the middle of my least favorite part of building a guitar. The nut that's on here is not the right nut. I'm in the process of making a new nut for it. This one works to play it, but the action's not where it should be or where I want it to be. So I'm working on making a new nut. Hopefully I can get that done today. And then really it's just a fine-tuning the setup, getting the intonation and everything set, and this thing will be done. And then just editing a few videos from there. And yeah, I'm excited. All right, coming back to your comments, guys. Coming back. Wag says, sweet! Taco Bell, sweet! Right on, thanks, guys. Wags, must sound killer. From what I can tell, it sounds really good, but again, I haven't had a really good demo of it yet, so we will see how these pickups and everything really sound. This is a pickup set that I've wanted to try for a long time. I have not personally tried them yet. Sam Packins said, wish the internet was better. Bad image. Looks great, though. Thanks, man. Sorry if there's any internet issues. Max is sick. Right on, Mike. Thumbs up. Right on, you guys. Sam Packin, awesome. How does it sound? Like I said, as far as I can tell, it sounds really good, but I haven't plugged it into like a big amp or anything yet because I can't really do much with it myself. So it's not going to sound all that great if I'm the one playing it. But when my buddy gets a hold of it, I think it's going to sound really well, and we'll find out this weekend. Taco Bell, that's a beauty, all right. Thank you. Serge says, do you give a name for your guitars? Not each one individually. Of course, my guitar brand is Haley Guitars. Haley is my daughter's name, for those of you that don't know. So the guitars are named after her. I do use a model name, and the model of this one is a Dorian. Because if you're familiar at all with music theory, and I'm no expert in music theory, the Dorian is the second mode of what is it? The pentatonic scale, I believe it is. I don't know. And but this is the second model from Haley Guitars, so I kind of like them to have some sort of a name, but I don't name each one individual. I do try to call them a certain finish. Like I call this the Lava Burst. So this is the Haley Guitars Dorian with a Lava Burst finish. But it doesn't have its own name. Should it? What are some suggestions? Let's see. Sent Packin says cherry wood, right? Not this one. The cherry guitar that is now on the back burner, that is my build. And that's the one I'll be hopefully getting back to next week once this is all done. Mike says, I did want to ask you also the body I made. I finished it with wipe on poly. What do you suggest to start with sanding grit wise? Also love your jig. I've made a couple of them to help me out. Right on. Jigs are awesome. You can really help make tasks a lot easier and repeatable with jigs. Um, I would say it's going to depend as far as sanding grits. It's going to depend on how many coats you have on there. I've done a couple with a wipe-on poly, and I seriously probably put 15 or so coats of wipe-on there because I want to have plenty of material on there before I start sanding. So another thing before you start sanding, besides making sure you have enough coats on there, is let it cure. It's got to cure for, I would say, at least 2 weeks. You want that finish to dry nice and hard. If it doesn't, some of the layers underneath that you may be sanding into might not be fully cured before you start level sanding. So make sure you give it as much time as you can possibly give it to cure. This one has about 8 to 10 coats of spray on finish, and I let it cure for a week and a half. So give it plenty of time, and then I would say, you could start level sanding with 1,000 grit. If it's really bad, you could go coarser, like an 800. But really, I like to start a little higher, honestly, because I'd rather it take a little bit longer time and go slower than risk removing too much material at once and sanding through your clear. So I'm okay myself if it takes longer to get it all sanded, but I would start with 1,000 if it was me, and that's what I did with this. It wasn't wipe-on poly, but it still wasn't completely flat and smooth, and I just went through it with 1,000 grit dry, and then I tried to do dry sanding up to 2,000. I didn't really like that, but I did dry sand with 1,000 and then wet sanded with 15 and then 2,000 before polishing. Sam Packin says, "Where did I get cherry from? Such a lousy video. Internet sucks." I don't know. I mean, you're not wrong because I am working on a cherry guitar. It's just this one's not. Taco Bell, what's it weigh? How many frets? Has a nice upper neck access. You know what? I need to weigh it. I probably should weigh that and put the. I have not weighed it. Everything that I can tell, it seems pretty balanced. But I have not weighed it. That's a good point. Maybe I'll do that. It might be an interesting detail. 21 frets, 25.5-inch scale length. Yeah. I try to put, some comfort carves in here. I don't do a lot of like solo-y stuff myself, but I like having them in there. It just makes it so much more comfortable. Oh, and how's neck dive? I'll double check that as well. But everything that I have tried on this, it seems fine. Harry Dude says, "Looks great, dude. Nice work. Thanks, man." Sempackin says, "Who judges the work? Do you have to send it somewhere?" I don't know anything about the guitar build off. No, that's a good question. So the way this works, all of the entrants are going to be in the first round of judges. There's, I don't know, 300 or 400 people at least, maybe more, I don't know, that are building in here. There's 2 different categories. One is a scratch build, which I am in, where you build everything from scratch, neck, everything. You have to build all of it. And then there's one that's a kit build, where basically you can do all pre-made parts, or even if you build the body, but you use a factory-made neck of some sort, you're part of the kit build. So there's 2 different categories going. At the end of June, all of the entrants have to have their final videos. There's like a big round of pictures. You have to submit a bundle of pictures. So all of that stuff has to be submitted by the end of June. I think it's the 30th. And from there, I believe it's July 1st to July 5th, everything goes to public vote. So it's going to be up to you guys. We have obviously, I mean, we're just contestants, right? We're just going to be waiting while, everybody casts their vote for their favorites. Now, I don't know if it's going to be you vote for your top 5 or your top 3, or if you have to pick one out of the entire build. That part I don't know yet. But I do know that, again, I believe it's the 1st to the 5th of July. Public vote goes open to everybody. I don't even know where that's going to be. I'm guessing on the Great Guitar Build-Off page somehow. But I haven't seen where that has been announced yet. But public vote for those days, and then for both categories, I think you can vote for both of those different categories, a kit build or a scratch build. After the public vote is done, my understanding is they're going to take the top 10 or so out of each, and then they've selected a panel of judges from guys that most of us have watched online. I mean, I think there's I think Big D is a judge. There's a handful of them in there. It's all listed on the Great Guitar Build-Off website too. You can see who all of the judges are, and I believe they are going to choose the winners out of the top 10 or so that you guys vote to be your favorite. So it's all going to go to public vote. So if you guys like it, man, I sure would appreciate a nudge in the contest. You want to toss your vote in there for the Haley Guitars Dorian, or if you see one you like better, totally cool as well. But I will encourage you guys though to go in there and cast a vote for some of your favorites in there. And man, there's so many good builds in there. I'm really enjoying watching everybody else's videos and stuff like that. There's just so many. I can't watch all of them because there's hundreds. But it's really cool. So July 1st, stay tuned. And I'll post more information, guys, as we get closer, just to kind of keep you guys in the loop on that. Let's see. Taco Bell, sorry if I missed some specs. No, you're good. Jim's here. Jim says, episode 5, I wait for it. Yes, I am. It is uploaded, where I'm putting it all together. 5 is uploaded. I just got to get it scheduled. It will come out this weekend. Neptunes is here. Hey, everybody. What's up, Neptunes? How's things going down that way? Dastardly Dave. Sup, all? What's going on? Welcome. Taco Bell would be a good name for one. It would be the Haley Inn. Harry Dude. Hey, NC. Neptune says 1,000 grit. Jeff's equivalent is paper. Huh? Alexis Guitars. Hi, mate. Really enjoying your GGBO videos. I have a question. My fretboard is oak, so quite light colored, but nowhere near as light as maple. Would a light oil finish be enough? For the fretboard, oak. I feel like I don't know. I feel like you might need a little bit more. I think of if I was doing a maple fretboard, you would typically spray your finish. You would seal the maple. Whereas as with a rosewood or ebony, you typically oil that because the grains are tighter and it's a little bit more oily wood anyway. But I'm thinking about a maple, and I would spray the finish if I was doing a maple fretboard. And I'm thinking of oak as well. Oak in my head is more porous. I'd almost want to fill that, like maybe grain fill it. And I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not, saying you have to do it any of this way at all. I think I would grain fill with some pore filler. Not wood filler, but pore filler. At least fill those pores. And then I would almost think from there, a couple coats of oil of some sort would probably be okay. But I also might consider spraying it just like I would a maple board, just because of how porous the wood is. But if you fill it, I would think oil would probably be okay. But I would myself would highly consider pore filling oak if I was going to use that for a fretboard. Mike says, was the mahogany a single piece or glued together? This is a 2-piece body. Let's see if we can get this where you can see. There you go, right there. The light hits it just right. It's a two-piece mahogany body. I couldn't find any wide enough to where I could do a one-piece that wasn't like a bazillion dollars. So I've done quite a lot of multi-piece bodies, and there's no issue with it. You get your glue joints right, it's going to be just fine. In fact, a lot of the big name builders do the exact same thing. The cherry guitar that I'm working on, kind of as the side project, I ended up having to do a 4-piece glue up on that, just because I was working around some defects of this board. But yeah, and I'm not worried about that at all either. Taco Bell says, interesting. Why did you pick 21? Honestly, because I don't like an overhang at the end of my fretboards. And I don't know why. Some people do. I have a couple guitars with the overhang, but it's not my favorite. I just like the look of no overhang on a fretboard. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing for me. So if I did an overhang, I could have put 22 like right there with the overhang. But yeah, I just like it. Just works out. And 21 is kind of, I don't like to use the word standard, but I mean, kind of is a standard for a bolt-on neck. It's not, not to say you can't do something different at all, but that's just what I like. I just don't prefer an overhang. So I chose to just stick with 21. Neptunes, get merch. Yay, the TeeSpring Store. Yeah, buddy. Sunpackin says, can you put a link to the guitar build-off page? Is it a Facebook page? No, it is. It's a website. Go to greatguitarbuildoff.com. Neptunes, maybe you can pop a link in there real quick. I'll try to post one later as well. To greatguitarbuildoff.com. You guys can go on there, read all about it. If you go to the 2021 contestants and you scroll down, you're going to see my mug on there. And there might be more information posted too now we're getting closer to voting. I haven't been on there in a couple of weeks really, but yeah, head on over there, check it out. GreatGuitarBuildoff.com. It's a website, not a Facebook page. Taco Bell, that's pretty cool. I'll definitely go take a look and vote. Right on. Thank you. And I want one of you guys to go in and vote for somebody. Vote for whoever, whatever you're enjoying. It doesn't have to be mine. I would appreciate it, but it doesn't have to be. I want you guys to cast your vote for who you want to vote for. And yeah, because it is really cool. Everybody's putting in so much hard work, and the instruments I'm seeing, it's awesome. So I encourage you all to at least go in and vote once the voting opens up. Vote for somebody. Epperson, good morning. What's up, dude? Neptune says you use up all the grit in your sandpaper. Now you're sanding with bare paper. I gotcha. Pretty much. That's what it feels like, especially when you get up into the 2000. It's like, how is this even a thing? But yeah. And you can get paper up to like 12,000. That's crazy. Donna's here. Good morning. Good morning, Donna. How's it going in your world? Alexis Guitars, thanks for the tip. I was thinking of some shellac sealer, but wasn't sure. I'll give that a go. I think I'm going to set this down, so I don't want to somehow drop it. If you guys want to see it again, you just let me know. I'm just thinking of oak as being more porous, and I'm trying to think of how to deal with that. On this mahogany, I used a grain filler to fill the grain before I started applying any of the finish. And oak typically is more porous. I would definitely seal it with something. You could probably use a sealer. What was that one? A shellac sealer. You may have to sand it and do a couple coats before it builds up in the pores. I'm not sure. Just some thoughts on that. But I would look at. I don't have any out here. I've got some water-based grain filler from Crystalac that I used on this. It's really easy to apply. It goes on kind of a milky color, but it dries clear when you sand it all off. It just stays in the pores. There's other brands out there too, but some sort of a grain filler I would consider. Do a test piece. There you go. Try a test on a scrap and just see if it looks like it might work for you. without the filler, with the filler, you know. Andre, any advice for a first-time build? I want to do a telly for my best friend's wedding present. Oh, dude, that's a great present. Um, are you gonna? Do you want to build from scratch? I guess that would be. Do you want to start with basically chunks of wood and do a guitar, or do you want to do kind of a kit build? So that is obviously going to make a difference. But for a first-time build, if you're going to go, I'm going to talk about scratch. Practice. That's what I would say. Get a good set of templates from somewhere. Practice on scrap. Be prepared to possibly make several mistakes and scrap some pieces. That's why I say use some scrap. Just test your processes, test your tools, test your ability to to cut where you need to cut. Just do some practice pieces and go slow, one thing at a time. Don't try to jump in and start the neck and start the body and start all of this stuff at the same time, because you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to get frustrated. And we don't want that, because it's hard to build stuff when you're like overwhelmed. I would say start with the body. Well, I don't know. There's a couple different schools of thought. Some people say build the neck first, and then you can build the guitar to fit the neck pocket. I typically start with the body, but that's because I am comfortable with the fit from my templates, and I know how things are going to fit together. But I can see the advantage of building the neck first, to where if your width varies, you have the ability to change that on your template when it comes to the body. And that's definitely a good way to go. But just pick one, body or the neck, and start on that until you have it done, or until you have it all cut and everything fits. So for this build, for the Great Guitar Build Up, if you followed along with any of the videos, the first one I built the body and got it all in the white, as they call it, right? It's all done, but there's no finish on it. All the routing was complete. All of the cutting, sanding, everything's complete. It's ready for finish. Then I built the neck and did the same thing. You get it shaped, you get it fretted, you get everything ready, but there's no finish. And then you can move on with the finishing. But just break it down into steps. Choose where you want to start, and just go slow and research, learn, watch videos if you need to. There's some great books out there as well to kind of help get some of the procedures down. But just take your time, and I know you can get it. But Andre, if you wanted to go with the kit route, right, where everything's already kind of cut, that is another great way to go, where you're just basically bolting parts together. And I don't even like to say it that way, because yes, you're not making the individual parts, but you're still putting it together. You're still putting the finish on there, and you still have a lot of time that you're going to have invested in there. So whichever way you want to go is a great route, and a kit guitar is a great way to kind of get your feet wet. And maybe that might be a way to go for you. Maybe you just build yourself a kit, and just to kind of get a little bit more experience of how everything fits together, and finishing and all that sort of stuff, before you jump into building one from scratch. I don't know. Hopefully that is a little bit helpful at all. Dastardly Dave, boy, the guitar turns sweet. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Stay tuned for more videos. There's a few more going to be coming out on this whole thing. The one that's going to come out this weekend is me putting it together in the state that it is right now. The next one's going to be just a sound demo. A buddy of mine's going to be ripping this thing, and we're going to hear what it sounds like. And then I'm working on the final overall video, which will be my basically official Great Guitar Build-Off video. And Neptunes posted the link. If you guys want to see the link to the Great, appreciate you, Neptunes. Right on, helping out with the links and the the admin stuff. I really appreciate it, dude. Mike says, take care. I need to get to work. Love your work. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for stopping in. Have a good day at work. Mike. We got another Mike. We got lots of Mikes. Mike says, thank you for that. Did have around 10 coats, but it's been drying for only 4 days. Glad you stopped me from making that mistake. Yes, 4 days. I don't feel that that's enough. The top may feel completely dry to the touch, but you don't know what's underneath. You got to give it time to dry all the way down in. One way to sort of tell is give it a sniff, the old sniff test. If you can still smell that poly smell when you give it a good sniff, it's not ready to start sanding yet. You don't want to smell anything out of there. But if you wait, let's see, 4 days, if you give it another week and a half, if you can wait that long, you're going to be, I would imagine you're fine. What I like to do too is store it in a warm space. So when I was spraying this, it wasn't cold here, but I think we were in like the 50s or so. So I would run the heat, get it nice and warm in here, spray the finish, and then once it had dried in here, I would take it inside the house where it, put it kind of in a warm spot where it can just keep heat constantly. Not too hot. You don't want to like hold it right next to the furnace or something, but put it in a warm area of your home, somewhere it's going to be safe. You're not going to knock it over, bump into it, something like that. I just feel that extra heat is good to get in there and really help get it cured. Donna says, getting ready for a citywide yard sale tomorrow. Have a big sale and selling some wood pieces I've redone. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's getting to be yard sale season again. I saw something around here. There's some kind of a, I don't know, like a neighborhood-wide something. And I think this year, I say this every year, but I want to try to spend a little more time going out and hitting some of these yard sales. You can find so many good projects there. I mean, aside from tools and things, but just things that you can take and repurpose for other materials. And I'm hoping this year to spend some more time hitting up some of the yard sales and garage sales and stuff like that. So good luck with the sale. I hope it goes well. I hope you get a lot of people. I hope the weather's nice. I hope you sell it all. Mike says, got to go back to delivering pizzas. Thanks for all the help. Truly a treat to interact with and so helpful. Love the door here, by the way. It looked stellar. Right on, man. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And have fun out there delivering. Oh, man, pizza sounds good. Can you deliver us one? I'll order. That sounds good. I love pizza. But right on, Mike. Thanks a lot. Be safe out there. Jamie says, thanks, Jeff. Right on. Send back in. Thanks, Jeff. Found it. I'll be voting. Right on. LOL. Thanks, buddy. Andre says, I have access to several species of hardwood, but I was thinking of making the body, this being my first one, buying a pre-made neck. There you go. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, I did my first three guitars that I did. When was that? I don't know. It's been several years. That's what I did. My very first one, I built. The very first three, I built the entire body, and I just bought a neck. And yeah, they're awesome guitars, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think that's a fantastic way to go to kind of get in the game, so to speak, I guess. Jump in, build the body, and yeah, bolt that neck on there. One thing, before you start routing, here's just something that popped into my head. Buy the neck before you actually start routing the body. I was talking about neck fit earlier. So get your templates, and then you can check the fit kind of with the neck and the template before you start routing. Because you do want that neck pocket to fit snugly. Sometimes the templates can be a little wide. That's what I found. So what I would end up doing is putting some masking tape or some sort of tape, depending on how much you need to shim it, around the inside edge of the neck pocket template. That way it's maybe even a teensy bit undersized. You want that neck to fit in there snug. What I would do is make another template out of that with a slightly thinner neck pocket. Hopefully that makes sense. The tape doesn't hold up great, but you can usually, if you're light with your router, when you're making a duplicate template, you can, it'll hold up enough for you to make a duplicate that's just slightly undersized, and then you can sand it to fit. But just, I would say, double check the fit of your neck in your template before you start routing the body, just to make sure it's going to fit snugly. Hopefully that makes sense. Andre, thank you for the great info. Your work is awesome. Thanks, Andre. And you get a hold of me if you need any more help. Sorry, I didn't mean to like wag my finger. That was kind of not cool, but it's not what I was trying to do. Yeah, if you have more troubles, you need some help or something like that. I do the lives every week, YouTube here, and then next week will be on Facebook. I alternate. Feel free to hit me up. Shoot me a message on on the old socials and all that sort of thing if you need any help or something along the way. Neptunes, no problem. I'm here for you, buddy. And I appreciate that. Neptunes, careful what you're sniffing. Yeah, don't sniff glue. Robert says, hi, what's the best way to radius a fretboard and get it perfectly leveled? Any tips and tricks? Perfectly level. Are we talking before frets? I would imagine. So that's going to all start with the blank, the wood that you choose for your neck. So when I start machining this piece of maple, you need to get that as flat as you can possibly get it before you go any farther. Because if you think about it, right? So let's say it has a bow. We're going to exaggerate this and just say it's got a bow. If you glue a fretboard on there, if it's a really bad bow, that fretboard's just going to bow. So you need to try to get this maple as flat as you can possibly get it right off the bat before you go any other option. So that's going to be the first step in getting everything nice and flat. Then the same thing goes for your fretboard. It wants to be as flat as you can get it too. So before you even put a truss rod in there, that's going to make it that much easier for you to get it nice and flat. Then when you glue in your truss rod, or not glue in the truss rod, but you know what I mean, glue on the fretboard with the truss rod in there, you're gonna have a much better chance of everything being flat at that step. And as long as you make sure your truss rod, when you glue it in, is flat. Then from there, so now you've done everything you can do up to that point to make sure that it stays nice and level and flat. So let's say you glue it all together and now you're ready to radius it. Well, at that point, you want to double check it again and make sure that it's flat. You want to get a good straight, I don't have my machined straight edge. I have a good machined straight edge you can lay on the neck. And then at that point, if there's any bow at all, now you can use the truss rod to adjust whichever way you need to make sure that neck is, again, as flat as you can possibly get it. Now, you may have a teeny little bit at some point, but if you can't adjust that out of there, you want to adjust it as flat as you can get it, basically. And then to radius the fretboard, I just use radius sanding blocks. I've got a bunch of these. I even just started making some 3D printed ones. I haven't got these listed on my website yet. I said I was going to do that a couple weeks ago, but I've been slack. I've been trying to get this guitar done. But I radius them with a sanding block. Like I said, I have several of these radius blocks. This one's a 14. Actually, I have quite a few of the 14s. I like a 14. But I use sticky back sandpaper on here. These are 2 3/4 of an inch wide. You can buy the sticky back paper. And I just start off, I think this feels like it might be 120. I start off with 120, and there's kind of a trick, and not really a trick, but one way to keep everything nice and level when you're sanding it is switch directions, right? If you always sand it while you're holding this way, let's say you do the whole thing, well, maybe when you press down, you're pushing on one side more than the other side. And if you keep sanding that way, one side could potentially have a different shape, right? You may sand more on that side. So I'll sand some this way, then I'll flip, like I'll stand on the other side and I'll sand this way. and then I'll, I try to change my position, the way I'm holding things. I may go from, just changing, you're going, that way you're trying to put equal pressure on either side. And also, one thing that I try to do, and there's ways around this, but I haven't done it yet. If you pretend that, I would have to draw this out, but let's say we drew a center line. Let's say we drew a center line on our block. When you're sanding that, you want to keep that center line as perfect as you can to the center line of your neck. You don't want to sand it off-centered because you're going to get a different radius on one side. So there are ways that you can get around that, and some people will build guides, a channel where this can't move, and then you put your neck in it, and then there's just like some little rails. You could use like 1/4-inch stock or something, just to keep this thing perfectly straight, which is actually a really good idea, and probably something that I'll look at doing, because that would take a little bit of the struggle out of sanding the radius in there, because you have to go really careful to not sand too far on one side or the other. So, but that's what I use. Just sanding blocks. I do it all by hand. I have several of these, and I just have them loaded up already with different grits, because I don't like to have to stop and change the grits. So I'll do 120 and 220 and 320 and 400, 600. I sanded this guitar up to 1,000 grit because there's not really a finish on the neck. It's just rosewood, so I sanded it to 1,000. But I don't have that many, but so I had to change out a little bit. But that's how I do it. And then, of course, you're going to radius the fretboard, or you're going to radius your frets to be a little bit more than the radius of your fretboard. So that way when you push it down in, the center is going to spring down in, and that's going to tend to keep the ends from popping up out. Hopefully that makes sense. Kind of the long way around, but yeah, that's how I do it. It all starts when you're building. You want to just always try to work with everything as flat as you can. Of course, once you get the frets in and everything, then you're going to do about your truss rod adjustments for your relief and all that sort of thing. But take your time at every single step and try to get it, just as flat as possible. Robert, you're awesome. Thanks. Right on. I hope that helped. St. Packin says, do you make all your templates or Podvin? Yes and yes. This is not at all sponsored by Podvin Guitars, but I will say that if you guys need templates, Mike makes really good templates. I've bought several templates from him. I don't think I do any of my actual building. I just kicked you. Sorry about that. I don't do any of my actual building with his templates. Earlier on, I think I may have for some of my early builds. But Mike is an awesome dude to work with. It seems like when I go, if there's something I'm looking for, like I have a friend who wants a bass built, kind of a replica of a standard factory-made bass that used to be made, and Mike had templates for it, but there was a couple changes that I wanted, and back and forth a bazillion times. And Mike has always seemed cool. I've never met him. I don't know the guy or anything, but I know he does awesome work, and I really enjoy working with him. And I definitely recommend, if you're looking for a set of templates, to check out Podvin Guitars. And who knows? Let him know that I sent you if you buy any from him. Seems like a cool guy. But for my builds, my Haley guitars, I use my own templates. You can't go to a store and buy ones that are in this shape. You just can't. So I have taken parts of different things and combined them into my own templates before, and but yeah, I make my own to use for my builds, but I also highly recommend Mike Podvin's work. In fact, I'm waiting on I've got a template I'm waiting on him to make right now for project that I have in the works. But again, not sponsored, guys, by Mike, but I have no problem promoting him, and because I really believe he does great work. So if you need templates, hit him up. So hope that helps. All right, guys. Wow, that went by really quick. Like we've already come up on the hour already. If you guys have some more questions, I can go. We can go a few minutes more. I can't go too much longer today because today is also an exciting day because today is my daughter's last day of school for the year, for this school year. And yeah, so they have an early dismissal today, and I'll have to head on over there shortly. Not right this moment. So if you got questions, throw them in there. We still got a couple minutes, but yeah, I'm so excited for her. What a crazy school year. Those of you that have kids in school, man, make sure you recognize how awesome they are, especially with this year. I'm serious. All the stuff that they've had to deal with, and whether it's homeschool or it's in-person school, and man, they're amazing. And make sure you take a minute and tell them that, because I really believe that they just do what they need to do, and they're awesome for that. I think that's the way I feel about it. So I'm going to go pick her up here in a little while, and we're going to, I don't know, go get some lunch or something in celebration. Maybe some ice cream. Sorry, guys, that was a little side note, but something if you've seen some of my other videos, some of my rambling videos, I don't do too many of them, but there's a couple of them. And I do believe that, our kids are great, and we don't always recognize that. Taco Bell, awesome show. Thanks. Kids are the best. Does she play yet? She has a guitar and a ukulele, and we also have a piano in our home. And I've tried before to sit down and show her, but she's not. At the time, that's different. That's me going, "Hey, come here. Let me show you this," and it's not quite her. She's got to want to do it, so I haven't pushed the issue. But every once in a while, she sits down now at the piano and she starts playing on some notes, and she's starting to make sense of some of the different sounds and things. And I show her some things because I used to play piano as well. And I've heard her a few times too, just on the guitar, just kind of making string sounds. And I throw it out there. Hey, I'll show you, when you want to. I don't want to push it on her. I want her to learn. I really do. I want her to take up something and learn how to play guitar, because how cool would it be for her to be playing a Haley guitar when she's the reason for Haley guitars? So I play guitar. I don't play as much piano as I used to. It's been a lot of years, but I can still sit down and play a couple of goofy tunes, and so the instruments are definitely there, and she's surrounded by guitars. But I'm kind of just letting it go with, go the flow, go the its natural course. There we go. And because I remember, like, when I was growing up, I had the option to play piano or guitar. And at the time, I chose piano, which I think was good. Because you learn basic, you learn a lot of stuff. You learn music, you learn a little bit of theory, which I still don't like or enjoy theory. But I think piano is a good way to start. And then I transitioned to guitar. But when it came to the point where you have to be forced to practice, like I kind of lost interest at some point, into where to sit down and do my weekly practice was it was a struggle. I didn't enjoy it. I'm sure my mom didn't enjoy making me get in there and do it. So at that point, I stopped taking lessons. So I'm trying to not push it. I don't want to force it, but I think at some point she might want to jump in and take over, begin playing. Robert says, have you tried to build a whiskey barrel guitar? I have not. I'd have to try to source some. It's not out of the question, and I think it'd be kind of cool to do, but I haven't done it yet. Taco Bell, have you made her a guitar? I have a guitar body it's one I started a while back that I never really finished. I thought about building that up for her. I might have to dig that out. I've been thinking about that recently, building her one. But then I was kind of going back and forth on, do I build her like a 3/4 size one or a full size? And I feel like a full size, even though it might be a little bit big for her right now. I will build her one eventually at some point. Maybe even let her put the dye on it or whatever. Taco Bell, that's where I started on a uke. Nice. I tried to learn it, but I'm left-handed and she's not. So I'd have to learn how to play a uke to be able to help her with the chords. Not that it couldn't be done, but Taco Bell, it'd be awesome for sure. And yeah, I get the not pushing. Yeah. Neptunes, that would be cool. Haley playing a Haley guitar. I think it'd be awesome. I really do. Right on. There's the link. Neptunes is on it. Bam. Silent H. Speaking of kids, I volunteered to teach the neighborhood kids and mine bass and or guitar this summer. Wish me luck. You got this, man. That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool. See, we need more stuff like that. Like those of us that can do things like this, build guitars, play guitars. We really need to try to reach out, I think, and try to help the neighborhood kids, teach them something, let them see some of this stuff. And I don't want to get on a big roll, but I really get excited when I start thinking about the kids and how we can help teach stuff. They don't get shop classes anymore, for the most part, and I think that's horrible. The shop class was the foundation for me for doing what I do right now. I just think it's such an important set of skills that they don't have. They don't have the option. It's not available to them. Even if they want, they could be the most hands-on kind of person, but they don't have the ability now to go into the shop class and learn how to make stuff. I just think it's an important thing that we need to try to do what we can to to help the kids, man. Our kids are awesome. And like I said before, I think we cut them short a lot of times, not on purpose, but we don't take a minute to realize how they are and how cool they really are and the things we can do to help encourage them. So anyway, talk about, well, I would recommend full as well. Right on. I'm thinking I'm on the right track. Cool. Right on, guys. So I need to wind this down. I'm going to leave you with another look at the Haley Guitars Dorian for the Great Guitar Build-Off for 2021. Like I said, guys, the voting is going to come open at the beginning of July. And I encourage you all to get out there and cast a vote for your favorite. And stay tuned for some sound demos and some more videos on this guitar build because we're not quite done yet. I got a little bit more stuff to do. We're going to get that thing out there. Taco Bell, yeah, I want to have kids over to make musical art and even a PVC guitar. Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be a great project. Taco Bell, great guitar, buddy. Can't wait for the demo. Right on. Thank you. Harry Dude, cheers, folks. Take care. Catch you all next week. Robert, nice. Pete says, that's so beautiful. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. This has been a great live. This is awesome. I love hanging out with you guys all the time. And stay tuned to this week for the assembly video where this will be put together. And yeah, stay tuned, guys, for more information on the Great Guitar Build-Off. Head on over to Great Guitar Build-Off and read up about it. Meanwhile, have an awesome day. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You're awesome. Stay safe. Stay well. We'll check you guys later.